All right. Well, there you have it, folks. It is time for another episode of the RecPoker podcast. You know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune. And some other folks might know that they're in for a treat because they've been hanging out on the YouTube channel. This is our first. Well, we're going to do this every week. We're every week from now on, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific. You can find yourself over at the YouTube channel for the RecPoker community. Go check it out. We're going to be doing our chats editions of the podcast live every week. So not only members, but community members and guests and visitors and friends can come and in real time talk with guests that we have on the show every week. So, like I said, I'm your host, Jim Reed, Bluffsterini in the home game. I got to thank our sponsors, Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and of course, website AMP for everything that they do to help us make this show possible and everything else that we do behind the scenes. And if you don't know what all that stuff's about, RecPoker is a community of serious, fun-loving, amateur, recreational poker lovers. We play, we learn, we have fun. We get better together. We study together. We leverage our ability to study as a group. We get discounts on things with other poker clubs and training sites. It's a great place to come for free and get better at poker, play poker with friends, and share your love. So, like I said, actually, a couple people I have to thank right off the bat. Some premium members, and we really get a lot of help from our premium members here each and every month. All it costs is $15, and if you use the code RecPoker, you get your first month for only $5. Folks like Dan Hu Dung, who I have not actually had a chance to meet yet. They just joined over the weekend. But Dang, I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little better. Thanks for joining. And Michael Pinciero, the one and only Les Paul 99. You know him in the home games. Michael's a super fun guy. He's a member here. He plays with a few of his home game friends like Lefty, and I think there's another guy, another Mike that's in the group there. I always see banging it up in the home games. So Michael, you're such a fun guy. I love your positive attitude and the enthusiasm you bring to the game. Thanks for making me smile every time we talk, Michael. I appreciate that. So I am your host, but I am just one of many recreational poker fans that get together every week to talk about poker. You can find out about me and the rest of the Wrecking Crew by going to rec.poker/crew, or you can just listen to them up right here because they're about to tell you.
I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 on PokerStars home game.
And I'm John Somsky. I am Poker Geek MN everywhere.
I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Rabman50 just about everywhere.
Just about everywhere. It's hard to argue with that. So every week we get together, we hang out, we talk about what's going on in the world of poker and in the world of RecPoker. Many weeks we interview a guest, someone who's an exciting part of the poker world. Tonight we're just going to start a little bit talking about our new approach here of YouTube broadcasting live and some changes that are coming up to the website. And then we'll get into some more exciting stuff a little later on in the show. Chris, why don't you just tell folks a little bit about the new podcast format here and what you're working on with the website?
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, we were thinking we'd have a guest tonight, but it might just be us flying solo. So we're going to talk a little bit of RecPoker stuff and a few other and get into the home games. But so we're going to try out this live episodes on YouTube. It seems like a really nice way to give people a chance to interact with the guests. We'll be monitoring the chat. If you have questions for them or us as they come up, let us know. It seemed like a really good way to get people involved, spread the word, and then these will be sort of out there and available. But then we're still going to release these audio to our regular podcast stream. So if you're more of an audio listener and you somehow stumbled your way here, and you're like, well, actually, I don't want to do that. Don't worry. It's going to be available where you get your podcasts, just like you regularly have been. And then the other thing I think that we're really working hard on, I think if you saw a little bit before the show, there were some of these slides kind of showing all the things going on at RecPoker. And I'm always kind of amazed how much we do and how much is going on. And I've heard from people that sometimes they're not quite aware of all that, and they don't know where to begin or where to sink their teeth into. So the thing that we're really trying to take is all that stuff that we're doing, which I think is all phenomenal, and really try to make it more sort of palatable, more approachable on our website. Our website's getting a pretty major overhaul in terms of how you find things, how it's organized, and you should start seeing some of those changes. I hope in May, maybe by June. We'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna ramp our way up slowly into having everything perfect over the summer at some point. But Chris has been doing great work behind the scenes, and I'm excited to be making things a little easier for our members to find things and to get that valuable stuff right at the top of the list. And as Chris points out, so we are going to be releasing the audio podcast normally, which we take about a week after we record it. So every week you can come and watch the show on YouTube and get the scoop live. Maybe the guest is going to announce something exciting that week. Maybe we'll do a prize or a draw or something for the show for the live people that are here viewing it on YouTube. And otherwise, you can count on it coming out in its audio format the following Tuesday, just like it always has. So you can listen to it in your car or at work, or like our friend Denise while she's hiking. Hi, Denise. I hope you're listening. And everyone else. And if there are other ways you'd like to take in the podcast, just email me, jim@rec.poker, and let me know ways that we can kind of make this easier for you, make this more fun for you, and stuff like that. John, do you want to chip in?
Well, I was just going to say, if anyone would prefer, like, I turn off my video for the YouTube session, I'd be willing to do that. But if that would make it a more enjoyable experience for you, let me know. Let us know.
If you could just like strike the pose and
that's
hold.
Old school. That's old school.
That's some nostalgia for some. There you go. Yeah, for some of our earlier fans that take them way back in the Wayback Machine. So I'm excited about that. I love the idea that we get this live connection too. Rob, do you have any plans or any ideas there?
About the YouTube live?
I just, whenever someone
I did wear my Tom and Jerry shirt. I saw everybody to see that.
Yes, okay. There it is.
So
he came to play.
Dress up for the occasion.
That's right.
Plus, it's only 89 degrees and sunny here in Arizona.
You
actually,
bastard.
Yeah, see, it was like it got to 61 today or something here. So, like, that's my kind of weather. I don't know if I can even complain too much.
It's still pretty cold up here. I'm looking forward to spring being around the corner. They've still got the huge piles of snow in the parking lot, you know, and like where they've plowed it all into the one section. No, we still got a couple mountains around here today. So Chris, I just want to take this little segue that Chris put up there because we do a lot. We do a lot of stuff here every week, and it's not always the same thing every week. But I just wanted to run through, like, if it's Monday at RecPoker, then we're going to be recording the Chats edition of the podcast. There's going to be a home game later that night. We're either going to be recording a forums edition of the podcast or having the seminar recording session. Those all happen on Mondays. On Tuesdays, there's a home game. There's Kim is going to be doing her Pet Vet hand history strategy review session or her poker empowerment session. We're going to have the online play and hang, which is also on Tuesdays. That's Tuesday. Those are just on Tuesdays. On Wednesday, of course, there's the nightly home game. We've also got the book study that Rob runs twice a month. We've got the Focus, where I introduce a new software tool with a developer who's going to tell us how to use their tool to study poker best. Taylor Moss often streams his play in the nightly home game and the mixed game on Wednesdays. Tim Fritz does an hour of streaming DTO prep where he studies for his home game play. And that's a great way to get to know Tim and how to use DTO to get the most out of play. On Wednesday nights, I'm not even done on Wednesday nights yet. We also have our community Q&A with our home game Q&A, where every month Jake from Unshuffled comes and demonstrates how to play the next month's mixed game. And so that's free for all community members. That's not just for premium members to play. We also have our online review and hang on Wednesdays, where we review the play from the previous month's final table. And if you're a member, if you're a community member, you're not a premium member, but you made it to the final table of the Tournament of Champions, then you're invited to come and join this premium session and review the play from the final table of the Tournament Champions. We go hand by hand, street by street, and we review each other's play, and we try and get better. We talk a lot about sizing and ranges and player tendencies and that kind of thing. And I think we're also going to I'm going to break this on the air. I think we're also just going to give everyone who makes the final table of the Tournament of Champions, you're going to get a free month of premium membership at rec.poker. So if I'm going to notify all the members that get their way into the Aura, the online review and hang anyway. And if you're not already a premium member, then we're just going to comp you that month so you can come and join and be rewarded for making it to the final table of the Tournament of Champions. Holy cow, a lot goes into that. So that's not for nothing. Anyway, so those are Wednesdays. Thursdays, not only do we have Keith Brandt's Monkey System off-table tools study group, which happens once a month. Taylor Moss streams every single night, every single Thursday. He streams on twitch.tv/recpoker his play in the home game. And we love it when people go. It's another way to join for free. Go over to twitch.tv/recpoker and subscribe there and follow Taylor's fun. He talks about his decision making as he plays. It's a great way to get inside the head of a very savvy, thoughtful, serious recreational poker player. Taylor's the man. And of course, on Thursdays, we also have Eric Jin's Play, Explain, and Learn format, where we're doing it in a kind of a different way right now as we work out some of the details with Poker Now and their streaming service. But essentially, it's a way to play in a deep stacked cash game, simulated, obviously just for play money. And people take turns talking about their decision making, and then Eric puts this video together afterwards, and it's a great opportunity for people to get some feedback on their game. That's every Thursday. Fridays, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I'm taking so long. It just takes a long time to list all the things we do here at Rec Poker. Fridays is a slow day. There's just the home game. There's just one activity on Fridays. Like why even get out of bed if you can only do one thing at Rec Poker on Friday? But you can come play in the Play Money home game for free. Not like Saturdays, because Saturdays we got a lot going on. There's the morning home game for some of our international players that starts at 8 Central. There's the afternoon home game, which starts at 2. Again, this is just so that players in different time zones find it easier to join from time to time. We've got the nightly home game at 8 Central and the practice mixed game, because every month we do a new mixed game for a Player of the Year race. And it might be a little challenging for people if that's their first time playing it. So for the whole previous month, every Saturday night, we do a practice round. And that's a great way to get involved with that. And of course, we also have the unshuffled mixed game Q&A on that Wednesday night beforehand with Jake. So if you like mixed games, we're going to be doing a lot more of that in 2022. But don't let me forget the Saturday study groups, because almost every Saturday, there's a chance at 1 Eastern, noon Central, to get together with me or Gareth James or someone from Learn Pro Poker. We do a different study group every week, with different material. I like to work with Poker Tracker 4. So I take databases or hand reviews from members at Rec Poker, and we use Poker Tracker 4 to look in and see what kind of leaks we can find in those players. MTT Poker Academy with Gareth James is on the third Saturday of every month. And we just talk about whatever the monthly theme is that Chris has put together here. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too. Gareth's overseas, so we meet on Saturday afternoons instead of in our usual evening slot. And he is the man. Like, he knows a lot. He has experience as a honest to God educator. So his sessions are fantastic. And we share a lot of his videos and stuff here at Rec Poker as well. And then, of course, there's the Learn Pro Poker study group on the fourth Saturday of every month, which is all based around an hour-long premium training video that Ryan LaPlante makes available for Rec Poker members. Because all these great training sites, Learn Pro Poker, MTT Poker Academy, Solve for Why, PokerCoaching.com, Red Chip, I'm missing a bunch. All the great training sites in the world know how important it is for recreational players to learn more about poker and to feel confident at the table and to win more. So they let us use all these privileged premium training material from their sites that you as a RecPoker member can come and join. And for your $15 a month with us, you get access to these little snippets of some of this amazing learning material. So that's Saturdays. And then on Sundays, of course, a lot of people like to play big tournament schedules. That's why Tim Fritz has his Sunday morning DTO warm-up, where he streams for an hour, again, going through DTO, which is a training resource that he's a huge fan of, and I see more and more today people using. It's a great way to sort of prepare yourself for the grind ahead. And then on Sunday night, we have the Learn Pro Poker home game, which is just like our other nightly home games, except the winner every Sunday gets a free month at Learn Pro Poker. I mean, it's a free tournament. You sign up for free, you play with play money, and then you can win a free month at Learn Pro Poker, which is worth $45, I think, and is, trust me, they have so many good resources over there. You could spend a month just watching videos back to back. I'm not sure you get all the way through it, but so that's what we do here Monday through Sunday. It's a lot. No wonder people are having trouble finding it.
Struggle, they can't keep up with this or can't keep track of it. And that's what we're really trying to like address here. I think we're going to make this more findable and stuff. So
if you join RecPoker, do you have to attend all of those things?
Yes. We throw you out if you don't.
Yeah. If you don't make them all, we toss you out.
You should have thrown me out a long time ago.
No, we joke. That's a great point, John, because we joke that no one could actually partake in every RecPoker event. Even when Steve was running everything himself, he couldn't do everything. I can't participate in every RecPoker event. Nobody does. But there's something out there for everyone. And the reason why we do it on different nights and at different times of day is because people in different time zones or with different work schedules, most recreational poker players are only going to have 2, 3, 4 hours a week to study poker, to hang out with poker buddies, to talk about poker, to play poker. So we try to make it something different available every day so that people can sort of dive in when it's convenient for them. But the other side of that is that, we've been creating all these videos. I don't want to guess how many videos per week. We've been doing this since 2019. And now that whole archive is available for premium members as well. So if you join for your first month for $5, you can basically go back and watch 3 years of training material and online review and hangs and online play and hangs and our study groups. And, we've put so much out there now that you can really drill down and find, I just want to look at blind versus blind play. I just want to look at 3-bet pots out of position. I just want to watch videos from Learn Pro Poker. There's so many ways you can cut up our material to go back and it's just it's a great resource. If you're watching this and you're interested, I really do encourage you, drop the $5, use the code RecPoker to sign up, and just give us a try for a month. And if it's not for the strategy material, I think it's just for the chance. 6 days a week, you have an opportunity to just click on your computer, open up a Zoom window, and find yourself face to face with a bunch of other friendly recreational poker fans. And
I assume there's no way to interact with the RecPoker community without paying that $5. Do you have to be a paid member to do anything?
John, you just know all the right questions to ask. Why no, you don't. There are so many fantastic ways that you can interact with RecPoker without even spending that $5. So let's just think about it. There's the YouTube channel where we do a lot of free videos on YouTube. I think right now there's I don't do anything live, so I don't want to guess how many videos there are there, but there's a lot of videos. Those are all free. The Discord channel is fantastic. We have a lot of active members on Discord. That's great for real-time railing and like instant messaging and chatting in real time. That's super for that. Obviously, we put a lot of stuff out in our own forums. If you're a community member at rec.poker, all it takes is an email address and a smile. I do encourage you to go sign up because you get to join the social groups, the study groups, Being a member of the community means that you're playing in the home games for free. The chat box in the home games is a lot of fun too. There's a lot of fun players in there encouraging each other and having a good time. But the forums are phenomenal. We've gotten them sophisticated enough with the forums that you can upload videos and outputs from a poker tracker, and you can link to different ways to demonstrate your hands and to replay your hands and stuff. So we get a lot of pretty deep conversations in the strategy forums, and that's why we take that out on the podcast every week. And the podcast is, of course, another great way to get involved for free. We also do our road trips. So if we're coming to a casino near you, it's a great chance to just come and hang out and have a good time. And of course, on social media, we do a lot of stuff on. Chad McVean is the guy to talk to, really, when it comes to anything to do with RecPoker on Twitter or Facebook. There's lots of fun ways to engage there. What am I missing, gang?
The only thing I'm really excited about as we kind of transition all this content to is this idea. You mentioned it, like, I just want to learn about blind versus blind, or I just want to learn about 3-bet pots, or I just want to learn about, if there's an area of your game that you're really wanting to focus on, that is what we're really shifting our kind of guidance and focus for what we're calling now, instead of the seminar, we're calling this the RecPoker Deep Dive. And we're going to spend a month as a community talking about a strategy topic. So we'll be talking about defending the big blind in unraised pots. We'll be talking about defending out of position in 3-bet pots. We'll be talking about how do you play against limpers? How do you, all these kinds of things that come up and people have questions about. That's what we're going to start to do month by month. We're going to have topics and conversations so that we can all share in that. We can ask Gareth James about it. We can ask Dara Kearney about it. We can ask about all these people that are plugged in to our world to really talk about that one topic for the month. And I think that's going to be great. And we're going to really start that fully in earnest, kind of shifting over with that website transition. So look for that coming likely in June.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen Chris putting some of this stuff together, and I am really impressed. I can't wait to see how our members take to this. And once we get into a rhythm of putting this stuff out there, I think it's really, I'm excited. I'm excited for what the future holds. And I want to share this excitement with some new folks. So I guess the other thing I'll say before I get off the soapbox, if you are thinking about it, I would choose April or May to become a premium member, because if you are an active premium member on June 1st, I'm going to draw out of everyone's name, I'm going to draw one of all our premium members that are active on June 1st. And that person is going to win the chance to get themselves down to Las Vegas and play as my partner in event number 55 in the tag team WSOP bracelet event. I know Chris loves event number 55. That's got him written all over it. So yeah, if you're an active member on June 1st, we're going to do a raffle. I desperately want to play in the tag team event, but I don't have any friends and no one will play with me. So we're going to find one premium member and we're going to put up their buy-in. So all you have to do is get yourself down to the Bali's. I almost said the Rio, but that's not right anymore. On June 26th, and we'll register and win a bracelet for RecPoker.
Yeah, let's get a RecPoker bracelet. That would be amazing.
Oh my God. No kidding. Right. I think
be called the horseshoe by then, but
yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
right.
Of course it will. It will be. Good point. Rob. Rob's our local agent with his boots on the ground right across the border, waiting to jump in and cause some trouble. So I'm pretty excited. I feel like the next few months are going to be really fun, busy as hell, but it's so much fun working on this kind of stuff. And Chris does most of the real work anyway. Well, and John does a lot of the home games. Well, and Rob is often involved with something. All right. Well, okay. So it's kind of a team effort, but we do what we can.
So we have some pretty interesting Wrecking Crew members, don't we?
Oh, you said it, Rob.
I think some of those names people might be familiar with.
Yeah, I think people are catching on a bit that the Wrecking Crew is the place to be. So why don't I take one for blah blah blah. Excuse me, I get so excited. I just get so excited about this kind of stuff. So Dara Kearney, who you heard Chris referencing earlier, is a member of the Wrecking Crew. He contributes every month to our deep dive session that Chris is putting together there. And he's such an asset. I mean, he's a published author. He's such a fun person to talk to about poker. Obviously, very well credentialed by his own success in the poker world. And I think he just likes supporting. He'd say, recreational players the lifeblood of the industry. And so, I know he just likes being a part of the team and spreading his light around RecPoker Nation. Gareth James, another member of the Wrecking Crew. Just like Rob and John and Chris and myself, we all believe in this mission of bringing our love of poker to recreational poker players. Kevin Mathers, Kev Math, you know him from Twitter. He's a member of the Wrecking Crew. And so it's, I think people are understanding that it's a place to come and share your love of poker with recreational players. And it's exciting for me to see these big hitters come and take their seats alongside the likes of me and Taylor Moss and Woody Adams and John Somsky. Like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool seeing it all come together. It just goes to show, like, it's a great group. People like talking poker with fun people. Who knew? Right. So Rob, you're working on the final chapters of this iteration of the book study, right?
Yes. We're currently talking about we're doing strategies for beating small stakes tournaments. And we've done 2 sessions, and we have one more session, which I think the actual audio podcast comes out the day before the next session. And basically it's beating small stakes poker tournaments, or strategies for beating small stakes poker tournaments. And it's really kind of interesting because it doesn't get into a lot of theory, GTO, hand reading, that sort of thing. It's reading your opponents. It's really more about how do you play against the certain player types that you find at small stakes tournaments. And so there's 3 basic types. There's those who play too many hands, those who play too few hands, and those who play the correct number of hands in an intelligent manner.
Ooh, watch out for them.
Yeah. And then you break that down even further. So you have those who play too many hands too passively, and those who play too many hands too aggressively. Then you have those who play too few hands too passively, and those who play too few hands too aggressively. And for each of those player types, there's a different strategy of how to play against them to maximize your results. And so it's really, it's really basic information, and there's nothing really, earth-shattering about it. It's something that everybody would normally come up with if they gave it any thought. But here, Jonathan Little has put it all together in a nice, concise manner so you can look at each of those strategies. And then the most important thing that the book teaches you is to pay attention at the poker table. Mm. Pay attention to what your opponents are doing. Look at aberrations, I guess I would call them, where somebody is playing, you see somebody and he's in every hand. Well, he's playing too many hands, because there's no way you can be, a winning player and play, 90% of the hands. You can't VPick 90 and be a winning player. So, you look for those types of things, and you always pay attention, even if you're not in the hand, because you want to be able to see what they're doing and then hopefully see a showdown to see what kind of hands they're doing it with. So it's like I say, it's not real heavy GTO strategy or anything like that. It's just basically paying attention at your local casino when you're playing in those small stakes tournaments.
And Jonathan just does a great job of really just honing in on what are the things that we should be paying attention to, and then how to apply that at the tables, right? Because that's we talk about how it's just common sense, or I know all this already, but then I sit down, it's like, okay, how do I actually use this to win more in this particular hand? I think that's what's great about it. It doesn't have
and this stuff is so important too. Like you can have all the GTO and theory and strategy and range is all in the back of your head, but if you're not adjusting to the people at your table, you're not going to do very well. So it's and knowing what to do with those proper adjustments is so important.
We got a question from Type Login. My man Joseph says, what is small stakes? And I mean, I guessing in the context of small stakes tournaments. So Rob, when you're thinking about this book, what are the tournament styles or tournament buy-ins that Jonathan's referring to?
Well, basically, go to your local casino and see what their daily tournaments are. You know, South Point, for instance, has some tournaments that are like $60. You go to Running Aces in Minnesota, and they have a lot of $75, $100, $125 tournaments. They used to have a Sunday morning tournament that was $30, and that was just crazy. That was just nuts, the number of people that would come in and play that. So that's considered small stakes. I think anything 150 or less is pretty much small stakes. They do have, I know at Running Aces, they used to have a deep stack tournament that I think was $250 or something like that, and they had one at Canterbury in Minnesota that was $235. Those you got a little bit better players playing, but if you go to those dailies that are around $75, $100, that's what we're talking about in beating small stakes poker tournaments.
Nice. And I see we've got a few members in the chat here on the YouTube channel. So Type Login, Jim, Keith, Martha, Troy, anybody else that is here, and feel free to type any questions you like into the chat there. I'm looking forward to getting a little more feedback as we go along, and as we have guests here, this will be an exciting feature as well.
I'm seeing some of the chat here saying, Troy, one of our members is saying, watching YouTube or playing on Facebook is not a winning strategy. And then Keith Brandt, Monkey System, chimes in and says, I once saw someone in a daily at the Aria playing Civilization 6 on his tablet while playing in the tournament. That seems challenging because that game requires a lot of attention where you're moving armies and pieces and building cathedrals and I don't know what else. And that seems that would be tough.
Yeah, I have enough trouble playing a cash game on one screen and a tournament on the other screen, let alone a different game entirely.
Yeah, I think you see a lot of players even at the small stakes that they're not paying attention to what's going on at the table. They've got their phone in front of their face, or they're watching the football game or the hockey game or the golf tournament on TVs because they love putting big TVs all over your poker rooms, right? and you love watching people do that because if you're paying attention and they're not, you're gaining a lot of information that they're not paying attention to. So
was it you, Rob, that said that you that like to go play when there's a sporting event that you don't care about going on or something?
Oh, yeah.
With the Stanley Cup's on and you don't care about hockey and that's the best time to go.
I'm not a hockey guy. Yeah, that's a perfect time to go.
I love that. Well, everyone else is paying attention, right?
Yeah.
So, Rob, I just got a question here. How do we get a copy of the book? Type Login. Joseph would like to buy one. And I've got good news for him because I think it's free if you go to pokercoaching.com. I'm going to let our man, Chris Wallace, in here. And then while that's happening, Rob, why don't you tell folks how they can get a copy of that book?
Yeah, you can go to pokercoaching.com. And you can actually sign up and get a free membership, just like you can at RecPoker. You can sign up for pokercoaching.com and get a free membership. And there's a lot of free stuff that they have available for you. And if you go to their tools on their side menu, you go to tools, there's this place for his books, and Strategies for Beating Small Stakes Poker Tournaments is free. It's a free download. So
nice.
No payment necessary.
Can't beat that.
No.
So speaking of things you can't beat, it's happening, folks. We've got Chris Fox Wallace in the room. Chris, you're joining us on our first live YouTube broadcast of the show. So
great. The one that I missed part of is the first live one on YouTube. I somehow when the invite came through, something happened that it put it in my calendar at 7:00, which is 7:00 your time.
Whoa!
So
what a bummer.
Actually, I would have missed the whole thing if Troy Chapman, who's one of my students,
yes, Troy's
the RecPoker guy, popped up on Facebook and said, "Hey, where are you?" And I was like, "What? We don't have a lesson tonight." And he said, "No, the RecPoker podcast is happening right now." And then I realized it just makes sense that you guys wouldn't be broadcasting at 7 my time and be going on at 10:00. But my phone calendar runs my life. And if my phone tells me to do a thing, I do it. And if it doesn't, I don't. because before smart cell phones, it was so hard for me to like make appointments and remember to do things.
Oh yeah. No lie. I literally print this off every week. It's just because I have the same problem. I have to just like have a plan and follow it. And that's the only way I have any chance of ever getting anything done.
So I apologize. That was, I hate being late. I never do that.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, you're with the right crowd. We don't do anything on time or hit any audio cues ever, or, is this the right group to be getting into for a casual chat about poker? So we've covered a bit about sort of what's going on in Rec Poker Land, but now that we've got you here, we got to start at the very top of the urgent question, which is, holy cow, man, that beard looks great. How long have you been rocking that? And what was your inspiration? Because I've only seen you clean shaven in person.
It's got to go soon. It's kind of driving me nuts, but
oh yeah.
This is the longest it's ever been for sure. It's always kind of bugged me after like a week. But my wife really liked it, so I kept it going. And then a ton of people said it looks good, so then I just kept it going. But it's pissing me off. So I think I'm gonna have to just get a beard trimmer and like keep it at a reasonable length so it doesn't get out of control.
Now that is still way better than shaving routinely, though, for what it's worth.
I actually really like shaving. I use a really old school double-edged safety razor, and it just becomes like a ritual thing for me. And I really enjoyed it. But apparently, I'm not going to be doing that much anymore.
Oh, you got it. Happy wife, happy life, right? That's
right. And I used to wonder what the deal was with when it was gray right here, like if people were dyeing part of it or what was going on. But no, it's just grows in that way.
Yeah, you've got the real like natural handlebars there.
Yeah, that's cool. Like Wolfman Fox now.
I love it. Well, now that we've established your new nickname forever. So there's a bunch of stuff we want to talk to you about. Is there anything at the top of your own list that you're just really excited about these days? I mean, we can take it anywhere you like. I've got a few questions lined up, but what are you passionate about? What's going on with you?
I am writing. I've been wanting to be a writer instead of a poker player for a long time now.
Yeah,
when I first started playing, my co-author, my first book, Adam Stemple, he was a writer and a poker player. He was a working musician at the time, which is how I met him. But I needed something to do because I'd lost my career as a guitar builder due to allergies to exotic hardwoods, and so I was trying to figure out what to do, and it was between writing and poker. Those were the two things that I was passionate about, that I really cared about, and the poker players that I knew were making a lot more money than the writers. So I went with poker, and it was a fun, passionate thing to do and study really hard. But over the years, I kind of lost the glitz and glamour of playing poker for a living. Kind of faded. It's a wonderful game, and it's a wonderful side hustle. It's not a great thing to do for your whole living. Mm-hmm. And so I started writing more and more, and now that's working. So now I'm writing, what's this, for Cards Chat, like sort of on a part-time basis, designing a really cool thing for them for the World Series right now. It'll be a very cool app that'll be coming out in about a month, and doing a bunch of writing for them, and also working on a bunch of publishing projects. I just have books everywhere that I've like helped people publish, or that various, I'm have kind of become an expert in doing my own self-publishing on the Amazon algorithm and all the self-publishing stuff. And so people started coming to me to publish their work. So I've got which book is this? This one just came. It was a book I published for a CEO of like a serverware company. I've done a ton of these kinds of projects publishing for other people. And then I've got multiple fiction projects of my own. I have the hardest thing I've ever done is this is the Great American Novel. It's my Great White Whale. So it's a very like Steinbeck, Hemingway, Cormac McCarthy kind of thing. And what I hold in my hand is the first time I've printed it, draft number 5, and it's not even close to done.
Wow. That's a great feeling, though, that printed copy, right? Like that feels like a benchmark.
Yeah, holding it in my hand is nice.
And so I hesitate to ask, how long have you been working on that? Because I know those can be something that, takes half a life.
Yeah, I mean, I had the idea for it and kind of wrote the first like 10,000 words about 20 years ago. Then I wrote the first draft over a maybe 3-month period, a few hours a day, going to the Starbucks down the street from my house when I used to live close to the Strip, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And then, when you get done with a project like that, you kind of have to put it away for a little while before you can go back and do more to it. And with genre fiction, I can write a vampire book and then put it away for a week and then edit it and then, and have this thing out, very quickly. But with literary fiction like this, it's such a different world. It's the hardest thing I've ever written. And I'm so obsessive about it being perfect that I have, not only does the whole book have to tie together beautifully, and I'm almost obsessive about it. It's almost a problem. It has to tie together beautifully and everything has to be perfect. But then within that, every paragraph has to be perfect with all the others, and every sentence in each paragraph has to be perfect within that. And it's all got to be this thing that goes together exactly the way it works out. And there's a lot of like twists that have to be just right. I really made a hard job for myself when I wrote the draft. And then I looked back and went, oh, this is going to be really hard to make this right. It's a super twisty surprise ending. And then a little appendix at the end of the book that's like more than the ending. There's it's a whole mess. And I want the language to be, Hemingway, McCarthy quality. And that is just a ton of work. So that's been the hard project, but I've also got a number of other fiction projects that'll be, I don't know, hopefully by Christmas, I'll have a couple of those written. And I'm writing a mixed game book with a couple of other world champions, a horse book.
Really? We're just talking about mixed games, making them more of a focus in 2022 around here. So maybe that'll be something we can look at in our book study or
between
otherwise.
The three of us, we have $27 million in tournament winnings and 10 mixed game bracelets. And
not bad.
It'll be basically a beginner's guide to horse. So it's the horse games and an intro to how these games really work.
All right.
I just finished working on the Omaha starting hand selection page. Like that's what I did most of the day today. I had one student and then I worked on the Omaha. And so I was breaking down the components of a hand, because you can't really teach people how to play Omaha the way you can with Hold'em, where you just say, play these hands in this position, because there's too many hands.
Right.
So I just talked about, ace deuce has a lot of value. Ace three has some value. Other low cards have some value. A suited ace has a lot of value. Some other suited cards have a little value. Big pairs out, and then once you understand these things, you don't need to like think about how valuable is a big pair, right? That's just a thing you can understand once you read it and play the game a little bit, and then you can look at every 4-card hand and go, okay, here's how much value this hand really has. Here's how important these things are. Stressing that like your 9 high flush draw is just not really worth much, and that your ace high flush draw is much more valuable, and those kinds of things. So if I teach it that way, then I think people will understand starting hand values in Omaha much better than like trying to get them to memorize a point system or, telling them just to play ace deuce or, the ways other books have approached it. So that's been a lot of my time the last couple of months is like, this book has to be ready by the World Series. So it'll be out before the World Series if it kills me, and it might.
Well, I can't wait to check it out. That's
we just
actually
got the forward from Jeff Lissandro's writing the forward. We just got the forward from Jeff the other day. It looks good. So
right
on about it.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see it when it's all done. It's amazing how quickly they can turn those around now, through production.
Oh, we're self-publishing it.
Yeah.
We turned down offers from the two bigger poker publishers. They just don't pay much, and they don't do much promotion for you.
Right.
It's hard to make much money with a poker book these days unless you publish it yourself and know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you have a huge edge now in that field.
My book outsold a lot of the traditionally published books written by people a lot more famous than I am. I was actually number 2 on the poker list for a while, and would have been number 1 on the Amazon bestsellers for poker on Amazon, except that Maria Konakova's book came out.
Right.
at the same time. You know, it's the only book in the last like 3 years that would have outsold my book with the sales I had. But that book just destroyed, like nobody else was even close. That was a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
So, you know, not even coming close to that. But to find out that I outsold, you know, so many of these like really famous people who have these deals with other poker publishers was kind of like, oh, then why would we take this deal with this poker publisher when they're not getting any sales? So yeah, I mean, it'll be up, you know, with print on demand, there's not even any turnaround. You don't even have to order books anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as it's done, 2 days later, it'll be for sale on Amazon and people will be getting copies.
Amazing. Well, we'll make sure to send the link out when the time comes. Let us know. As we'd love to spread the word and get some recreational poker players more involved in horse and all those mixed games. We actually got a question here from the one and only Troy Chapman. I see a bunch of folks typing into the chat here. So Troy says, question for Chris. It's loaded. So now you've been coaching the most rec of players. What do you think is the easiest uplift in performance for recreational players? And so I think like, just generally speaking, you're coaching with, you know, not beginners, but like intermediate players, recreational players. Are there some common themes that sort of a great number of these students might be well served to study or to work on?
You know, the biggest thing for most recreational players wasn't that big a thing for Troy because he's a financial analyst and he was already pointed in this direction. But it's getting people to focus on equity and money. You know, so many players want respect, and like I throw away respect all the time. I don't want that. I want like I have people respect me in other things I do in my life. I don't care about poker anymore. And so I was just talking to a student this morning about this. When I throw myself under the bus intentionally so often in mixed games or in games where people sort of know me and I don't want them to think that I'm a good player. And it's such a common thing in humanity that almost all poker players that I meet would rather believe that a known player sucks than that they're good. Right. So it's a very easy thing to convince people of. I did it this summer at in the 25K horse, the last year at the World Series. So at the first round, Dan Shack was at my table, a bunch of other fairly solid players. And I know these people like know who I am, but they don't really know me because I'm not playing in like the nosebleed stakes that they're playing in live games. And so there were a couple people at the table who actually knew me, but most of them didn't. And so we played a hand where, I called down a little bit light because I know Dan will bet a little light on the end, and it was the right spot for me to do that. And then he actually had a monster.
Oh no!
And I was all thinking in my head as I called, if he has this monster, I'm going to claim the second monster, and everybody's going to remember because this is a table full of world-class players. It's a 25K. Everybody's going to remember that I can't actually have that. Because the two jacks are dead, were folded pre-flop because we're playing stud. And they're going to realize I couldn't have had that. And they're going to all think I'm a fish, that I'm claiming a hand I didn't have and that I don't even remember the jacks are out there, right? If I set this up, everybody at the table is going to think that I'm just a recreational player who found 25 grand somewhere, right? And that's exactly what I want. I don't care if they disrespect my game for the rest of their lives. In fact, it's great. Right. I just want to pay my mortgage and go travel and take vacations and shit. I don't need to convince people that I'm good at poker. So, and doing little things like that, like when I used to play the mixed game at Canterbury, I would buy in semi-short, playing 40-80, and I buy in for $1,000. And then if I dropped down to $500, I'd keep playing. Whereas most of those guys would buy in for 2,000. If they drop to 1,000, they'd buy 2,000 more. They want this mountain of chips in front of them, so they feel like they're crushing the game, and people think they are. I don't care if anybody thinks I am. In fact, I want them to think I'm not.
Yes.
And most of those guys at Canterbury, they're playing the biggest game in the room. They're very smart guys. They think they're the best poker player in this state. If that game's running and it's 8-handed, 6 of those guys think they're the best player in the state. Right. And they're perfectly willing to think, especially after the horse win, that the champ sucks. So, I mean, after winning the 10K horse, I'm still able to convince people that I'm just not good at this. and just by not having a lot of chips in front of me and claiming I had a few hands that I didn't, or, calling down and then have somebody show me a flush in Omaha, a 9 high flush or a jack high flush, and just be like, oh, the 9 high flush, and fold it when it would have been a terrible spot to have a 9 high flush. Like just those kinds of things where I can convince people that I just don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, I think what we talk about at any level of poker, what is going to make you more or less profitable is making good assumptions about the people at the table with you. So
absolutely,
if you can convince people to make bad assumptions about you and your range and what you might do with parts of your range, then that's offense as much as defense. I love that idea.
And now that I'm writing more and kind of moving out of playing poker seriously for my whole living, I can talk about it. It's fun.
Right.
I can talk about it. I've spent 20 years doing this and not telling anybody about it.
I love it. Well, here, let me pull another secret out of you then, Chris. So when you sit down at the table and you are yourself making assumptions about people there, as you try and build your own player profiles about them, what are some things that less experienced players do that kind of tips you off that they're less experienced? What are some mannerisms or actions or mechanics that sort of make you think, this player is not a crusher at the table?
Sure. I was really bad at this at first. When I transitioned from online poker to live poker, I was really bad at live reads, much worse than the average person, and had to study really to get an understanding of it. And then in Minnesota, we played with the same people all the time. So I would just remember how these people played. And then I moved to Vegas, or when I started coming to Vegas to play cash games a lot, and then eventually moved here, I'm playing with different people constantly. The tourists roll through. There's a much bigger group of serious players here. And my memory is not great. Lots of processing power and very little memory in my brain. If I don't take a picture of where I parked, I'll wander around the parking structure all day. I'm just terrible about it. I worked with an academic at the University of Minnesota who did a bunch of brain tests and scans on me and said like, oh, these things, you do really good at these things. And then this is terrible.
Which is fair. If you were that good at everything, people would complain.
Yeah. Well, I'd be doing something better than this. And so I have really had to pick up the ability to assess someone the instant they walk up to the table. That's been really helpful for me in playing like the live cash games that I've played for most of my living the last 6 years in Vegas. Some of it is paying attention and being fascinated by your fellow humans. Right? I have a book on tells written that I don't know if I'll ever get around to publishing or not, but a big part of the beginning of that book is this is too complex a subject to quantify. Right. I have what everybody is saying on my bookshelf from Joe Navarro, right? His body language book. I have those things, but it's too complicated a subject to quantify and then use
right
at real speed, So you become fascinated by people and you start to pick up things in each spot. It's like becoming a good poker player versus memorizing good poker plays, right? Like becoming a good poker player is way more valuable. Mm-hmm. And so I just became a people reader. And now, if the waitress brings me my food and doesn't like me, I know. And I kind of don't want to know, but I now I know. Right? You just get to that point if you spend enough time. And I send a lot of my students on these kind of missions to do secret interviews. I tell them, the next person that you end up in a conversation with that you don't know, I want you to ask them questions because they'll talk all day about themselves, and then figure out. I want them to never know they're being interviewed. Just feels like a conversation. But then I want to know how you think they voted, what's their religion, how much money were they raised with, how much money do they make now. Are they conservative or aggressive with money? What's their investing strategy? What do they do for a living? How much money do they make? I want to know, are they a dog or a cat person? Everything about this person, right? So that when I go and ask you about this person, you can answer all these weird questions I'm going to ask you, right? If I say, is this person more likely to wear, say you met a guy at a truck stop standing in line at a Wendy's, right? And I'm going to say, was he wearing a hat? And they go, no. And I go, everybody owns a hat. What kind of hat does he have?
Yeah.
And like some people are going to go, oh, it's a baseball hat. And some people are going to go, it's a Kangol, I think, or it's a bucket hat, or it's like, I want you to know this person and answer those questions for me. And once you can do that with other humans, then when they walk up to a poker table, you've got them.
So this is as a writer, this is just coming through with you. You're like, you need to be able to flesh out the backstories for these people and sort of like imagine, not imagine, because you're trying to like take the clues that are available to you and like build them out, right?
Absolutely. So when someone comes walking up to sometimes it's situational, but like if I used to play 2-5 at the Win all the time. And if somebody comes walking up to the table with a single rack of red chips at the Win, the max buy-in in that game is not $500. It's $1,500. So if they come walking up with a single rack, it's a sign they're probably not a pro. And then it's a 42-year-old white guy. It looks like he's got money, and he's wearing the shirt that like the club kids wore 6 years ago, which is like it's kind of paisley-ish, but then when you turn the sleeves in, it's like a way different color. Yeah, right. Right. Like if I see somebody over 40 wearing one of those shirts at the Win, right? Like they're sharp looking shirts. It doesn't mean that you're a dumbass if you own one of these shirts, right? I have one. But if you're coming to play poker at the Win wearing one, you're there for the club, the girls, the gambling. You're not there for the poker. You're not a poker pro. Never one time have I seen a poker pro walk up in that shirt. Right. If you show up in a hoodie and a backpack, then like, I know what's up. In fact, a lot of the pros at the Win didn't like me because I would refer to them as backpacks and like tell the table about them, because I don't like that. Right. Not only do I not want that good player at my table, but way more important, they're going to show up, put on headphones, pull out their iPad and watch Die Hard. Mm-hmm. And they're going to play 5 hands an hour. They're going to raise to 6x when they play a hand, and they're not going to talk to anyone. And that's terrible for my game. Mm. If you show up and act like that in my game, I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to make life hard for you. And so a lot of them didn't like me, and some of them would even not come to my table because they knew I was going to do that.
Perfect.
So I would get, and when they show up, I've already made friends with the other 5 recreational players at the table. We're probably having drinks. And I go, oh, another backpack. This is just what we need. And then they would start calling them backpacks. Right. And so then the recreational players are folding every time this guy raises, and it's driving him nuts. And he doesn't even know why, because he's got headphones on. He finally takes his headphones off and makes a raise. And somebody goes, not calling out at raise from a backpack, and throws it away, and then takes another drink of their whiskey. And he goes, what? And then he looks at me like, oh, it was you. Yeah, it was me. Take your headphones off and have a beer, buddy. Let's chat and make this a fun game.
Oh,
so
that's great. I love it.
Those kinds of there's all those assumptions that you can make. But like my student earlier today is a woman who's in her early 50s, doesn't look like it, but is in her early 50s and is very comfortable. She's very intelligent. She's not afraid to be playing in a man's game. She's and super sharp and a good player. And when she goes to a table, she's not wearing a ton of makeup. She's not super dressed up. She's not covered in jewelry. She didn't just have her hair done. And I'm going to think good player when I see her. And if instead she shows up and she's just had her hair really done and she's got a ton of makeup on and a ton of jewelry on, I'm going to think she's not here for the poker. She didn't show up in stuff that's comfortable to play a long poker session and be sharp. She showed up looking good. Mm-hmm. She's here for a different reason and also is playing poker. And then some of it is the social stuff, how people behave. Like you can judge a lot by how a person looks, and then you can learn a lot by how they behave. Do they, if they sit down and shuffle 2 8 stacks of chips right away, well, they definitely play. If they can't get their chips out of the rack the right way, or they like pull out their money and like wave it at the chip runner, right? Like put your money down, dude. Calm down. That this person isn't a serious player. So it's just like, how comfortable does this person look walking up to a poker table, and how did they walk up? But when somebody gets moved to your table, they will either show up looking at their seat, and if there's board cards or a pot being played, looking at the cards and the board, and they're excited about the poker. And if they walk up instead looking at all the players and like assessing each person, that's a bad sign. And if they're assessing each person with shark eyes, like they look like they're trying to figure out who to eat first, then you're in trouble. And that's such a giveaway, and it's so common when people are transferred into and out of tables at tournaments that you can know a lot about someone before they even sit down.
I like
and then
that.
The third aspect of that, and when I was writing about it, is you can learn about how someone plays so much from tiny little things they do. Like my favorite example is the funeral for your cards. You show a guy the nuts, and he picks up his cards and looks at them, and then looks at the board again, and then looks at your hand, and then sighs twice. And by this time, I want to knock him out of his chair. This drives me nuts. And then he's like, he knew he was beat 12 seconds ago, and he's like, and then he taps his cards on the table twice and shakes his head, and like agonizingly lets go of his hand. If it takes someone this long to fold a hand when you showed them the nuts, do you think they're going to be able to fold when they don't know what you have yet? We've learned so much about this person's whole personality at the poker table, right? This guy does not like to fold hands. He has trouble believing that he's beat. You can use that to extract value from him in so many spots. And this can happen before you've even played a hand.
Mm-hmm.
You've just walked up to the table and haven't even been dealt cards yet.
I like
that. And then there's like the ace king. I call it the ace king example because it's just always ace king when this happens. But like, you're in a cash game and somebody raises, like in a 1-2 cash game, and somebody raises to $6, and like a couple people call, and then the small blind calls, and then the big blind. No, it's limps. Let's say it's limps. It's 4 limpers, and the small blind completes, and the big blind raises to $6. When I ask people what they now know about this player, they will usually like start talking about what hand he has. But I'm not talking about what hand he has. What do you know about the human? This person who's done this. And they're like, I don't know. Well, I know that he sucks at poker. Right? And that he sucks at poker in a specific way. Not just that he's not good at poker, but that he's not good at poker in a specific way, in that he's very inexperienced. Because if you play with a guy who's been playing for 20 years, there's a bunch of these guys in Minnesota have been playing for 20 years, playing low limit tournaments. They know a lot about, they'll quote odds at you and stuff. They'll do things like that. And then they will never make this mistake. Right. This particular mistake is not how they play. If you're bad at poker, been playing 20 years, you don't do this. This could be a very, very smart person who's just playing poker for their first time. But whatever it is, they're very inexperienced, and they're not going to understand a lot of these bet sizing nuances. They're not going to understand relative hand values. They're going to be playing absolute hand values a lot. We've learned all this about them without playing a hand, without seeing a flop. We already know a bunch of things about this player from how they've behaved. So for me, it's about like inferring from little things more and more about the person, right? You're kind of conducting that secret interview all the time that you're playing with someone.
I love the idea of the secret interview. And I think the sizing in particular is something that we can get a lot of information about when it comes to people's experience. Because like you say, poker is a game where there's a lot of right answers, but there are a few wrong answers when it comes to the math. Yeah. And if you can catch someone making one of those wrong answers, that does kind of give you a little window into their experience.
Yeah, just thinking about what does this mean about, how they think about the game. What it usually means in this case is that they have like ace king or ace queen and they don't know what to do with it. So they make the worst possible decision and like raise to 3x and everyone calls, and then they get smoked in a huge pot.
Right.
But this play is punished so badly when you make it that like experienced players learn quickly to not do this thing.
That's a good point. Because it's those painful mistakes, people tend to only make them a few times. So that tells you that they're kind of at the beginning of their poker journey in a way.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
If you combine the three things, where like the guy in the cuff shirt walks up to your table at the win with 500 in chips, doesn't look at anybody else, just sits down, and then makes that play, like. This is like one of his first 2 or 3 times playing poker, and also probably doesn't care about money at all. He's at the win. People there's a lot of money. Poor people don't stay at the win. Mm-hmm. And the shirt that he's wearing combined with staying at the win tell me like this guy's got money. So he doesn't care about the 500 that's in front of him. And he may turn out to be one of those guys that we love so much that will like play poker like it's blackjack. We'll just like pile his chips in and see if he won, and then try it again. And then
I was gonna say that sounds like a good table to be seated at. That's,
absolutely.
We love those players.
Yeah.
Troy from the chat here says, in a similar vein, I look to find the dude who's never folding top pair or an over pair. Yeah, get that absolute hand value, right? Getting stuck on what feels like a big hand. That's a big one too.
Yeah, if you get the inexperienced player who also does the funeral for his hand thing, you have the guy who can't fold top pair. Especially if there's a draw on board. Like if he's got top pair and there's 2 diamonds on the board and you just like bet your house and there's $40 in the pot, and he just calls his house because he can't manage to fold when you might have a draw. It would break his heart if you showed him a draw.
Perfect. So I know we're getting to where we have to let you go, but there was one more question I wanted to ask, and I'll let our members in the chat type a couple more up there. So the last time I saw you in person, we were at the Rio, and you were doing photography for Cards Chat.
Yeah.
So WSOP is coming up again. You have such this unique place in the poker world. You're an insider. You're a professional. You're working on behind the scenes. What's this year's WSOP going to be like for you, and what are you looking forward to it, and how are you preparing?
I'm going to be doing more of that. Awesome. I think this year at the World Series, I'm going to kind of have a schedule where I'm anytime that they hit a final table, I'll go take pictures. Anytime somebody wins a bracelet, I'll go take pictures of the bracelet picture kind of stuff. And then I'll go to the media room and write that up. And this person won or whatever happened today. I just bought a new laptop with an SD card reader and some new stuff for my camera. I just bought a microphone so I can do video that has good audio quality.
Cool.
I bought a backpack that'll like hold everything the way I want. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to be playing cash so that I can get up and leave and go do that stuff whenever I want.
Yep.
So I can just sit in the 2040 mix was great last year. And I don't need to play big anymore. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just go play 2040 or I'll go play a 2-5 or 5-10 no limit game. And when I need to go take pictures of a final table, I'll just sit out for a few minutes and then go get pictures. And then once, that kind of day is done and the bracelets have been, won, then I can pop over to the media room, write it up, go home and go to sleep and go back and do it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a guaranteed bunch of money. I'm going to make money playing cash over that kind of large sample size. I'm for sure going to make a bunch of money playing cash.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to make the money from Cards Chat and they're going to be very happy with me. And I love working with Cards Chat. So far, it's been really fun. So I want to make them happy and I can, I'm sort of double dipping. I'm getting paid while I'm getting paid.
That's the best, man.
And making everybody happy except the players at my 2040 game. So,
hey, you can't please everybody.
And no stress. I can take a day off whenever I want. I can do whatever I want because I don't have this big tournament schedule to play.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be down there for a little longer this year. And I think I'm just going to make a personal rule where I'm only allowed to enter tournaments if I've won the buy-in in cash games. Because I just feel like I go down there, I have a great time, I make a bunch of money playing cash, and then I just donk it all off in the tournaments. So I think you might have cracked the code, man. That sounds like the perfect way to spend some time in Vegas.
I think tournaments are really fun, way more fun than cash.
Yeah.
But if you want to make real money, cash games are the spot.
Yep. Well, I'm excited to see you active again in the poker ecosystem. And it was great seeing you out there snapping for Cards Chat. They're a fun organization. So I'm glad that's working out.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I'm
we'll
going to take a lot of pictures this year.
Yeah. Cool, man. So, well, and where can folks find you if they say, hey, I'm at table 42, come say hi.
Twitter is easiest for me during the World Series.
Yeah.
At Fox Poker Fox on Twitter. That's the easiest way. And if I take your picture and you want a copy of it, tell me at the time and I'll kind of make a note of it and I can, you can give me your contact info. And actually the easiest thing to do is write down your contact info and hold it up while I take another picture of it. Because then when I see the second picture, I go, oh, this guy. And then I can send you a picture within a day or two because I can't sell the pictures I take at the World Series. That's part of their deal with the media. If you get media credentials at the World Series, you can't sell the photos you take there.
Interesting.
But I can give them to you and I don't care about selling them anyway, but so I can give them to you. And I know a lot of people who don't have like real pictures of themselves at the World Series, and it's a big deal for some people to be at the World Series. It's a cool, it's if you're a big poker player, your Facebook profile should be a picture I took of you at the World Series. So
yeah,
just
I love that.
Let me know where you're at and that you want a picture, and I'm happy to make it happen.
There you go. Well, Fox Poker Fox, if you want to reach out and let him know. And he's right, man. Having a professional take your photo when you're down there too. Come on, that becomes part of the story too. So there's nothing that you can't go wrong with that.
Semi-professional.
Hey, you're on the RecPoker podcast, man. So we're all semi-professionals around here. All right. Well, I think we're going to go into our little community session here. John's going to take us through who won the last week of home games, and then we're going to get out of here in a tight 5 minutes because we've got to get off to the Tournament of Champions, which is going to start at the top of the hour. But Chris, is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with before
just
you go?
Go buy my book? That's it. Just buy my book. I think most of the RecPoker people bought it already. It was, you guys were good for sales, so
we loved it. And
I don't know if it does me any good to tell you guys to buy it.
That's right. Well, and we'll put a link in the show notes too if people want to go check that out. And they can go. I think you can also go to rec.poker/resources, and you should be able to see a link to that because we love all the Chris Wallace stuff. The guy helps players get better at poker, so we're all for that.
I can't wait for this mixed game book, Chris. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm really ready for it to be done. Have a great night, y'all.
Yeah, Chris, feel free to stick around if you like, or just dive off here. John's going to take us through some home game winners, and then we'll be out of here. So thank you again for your time. We'll catch up again soon.
Thanks for having me on.
You got it. All right, John is in full Somsky mode. He's muted but prepared. Here he comes.
I'm not muted anymore. I knew you had to make a statement. I had plenty of time. All right. So we had our No Limit Hold'em Championship Series. That is the monthly series on the first Wednesday of the month that has Player of the Year series points. And Poker Cat 36 name Naomi Pazol won her very first No Limit Hold'em series event. Then for nightly events, A Really Mad Guy won his first event. I'm assuming it's him, given his name is Guy. Megler 44, Doug Draybeck, got his second nightly victory of the year. But if you remember the tear he was on a couple years ago, this is his 33rd all-time victory for RecPoker. Coronor, Joshua Campbell got his first daily victory or nightly victory for the year. Digging 8 Graves, Chris Simonu got his second nightly victory. What was that?
No, I'm just messing with you now, John.
Okay. Well, it sounds almost like French, so you being Canadian might know better than I do.
That's why it felt so natural.
Yeah. Bloop 7, Mark Bloomberg got his second nightly victory for the year. JD Cat 32, Jeff Catalano, won the daily mixed practice event. And Chad McVean, won the 8 a.m. International event for the first time this year. And Rosie Q, Roz Gordo, won her second international event for the year. And then John Lancer, John Bensky, won the Sunday event for Learn Pro Poker. So you can contact Jim at rec.poker for your free month at Learn Pro Poker.
There you do. Don't be a stranger. Reach out and get that free month of Learn Pro Poker. It's fantastic. And I see it's our first week doing the live YouTube broadcast. I already missed one question for Fox. This was coming from Keith Brandt, asking about how he coaches recreational players. So Keith, we'll get a little follow-up. Maybe I'll put something out on Twitter and we can get an answer from Chris about that. Because I do know Chris is a professional coach. This is Chris Fox Wallace that was on the show just now. Loves working with recreational players of all skill levels. And he knows everything about poker back to front. So if anyone's curious about working with Chris, I would probably say just reach out on Twitter at Fox Poker Fox. And I would say that you'll be well taken care of there. So
sounds like Troy might be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good
Troy
point.
is a student.
Yeah, so Troy I think we're going to be seeing a little more Troy around here anyways. We'll have plenty of opportunities to pick Troy's brain about things coming up, which I'm excited about as well. All right. Well, we got a few minutes before the Tournament of Champions starts. Anything else that we want to get out to RecPoker Nation? Rob?
Twitter poll.
Okay.
The last 4 books are on a Twitter poll for our next book study after Strategies for Beating Small Stakes Poker.
And
so we've got The Mental Game of Poker by Jared Tendler, Every Hand Revealed by Gus Hansen, Endgame Poker Strategy by Dara O'Carney, and Kill Everyone by Lee Nelson and a host of other people that get involved in that book. So that's what's on the Twitter poll right now. So go ahead and vote. Get out there and vote.
And is that where can they look at Radman50 or at RecPoker and they'll find that
yes.
poll? Okay.
I put it out there and I tagged RecPoker.
All right, fantastic. And people have a few more days to fill out that poll, and then we're just going to go with the poll. Whatever the people decide, that's what Rob is going to take on next. So I'm excited for that. All right. Well, thanks, folks. Yeah, we've got a planning session to get to and a Tournament of Champions to kick off. So I'm excited for that. I guess I'll just thank our wonderful sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and website AMP. And of course, we got to thank Chris Fox Wallace, Rob, John, and Chris Jones for joining me in the session here. And oh my God, Troy, Keith, Joseph, Jim, everyone else, and all you, the listeners. Bye.